Hey, I'm Ryan Reynolds. At Mint Mobile, we like to do the opposite of what Big Wireless does. They charge you a lot, we charge you a little. So naturally, when they announced they'd be raising their prices due to inflation, we decided to deflate our prices due to not hating you. That's right. We're cutting the price of Mint Unlimited from $30 a month to just $15 a month. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 up front for 3 months plus taxes and fees. Promo rate for new customers for limited time. Unlimited more than 40 gigabytes per month slows. Full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. You chose to hit play on this podcast today. Smart choice. Make another smart choice with Auto Quote Explorer to compare rates from multiple car insurance companies all at once. Try it at progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Welcome, guys, to this week's episode of Heavy Metal Tones with me, your podcast host, Tony Evans. As you can tell by the title on the thumbnail, or where you clicked, we are covering an absolute classic today. Every now and again, I do like to jump into these well-loved albums, particularly well-loved by you, and particularly well-loved by me. I don't do them all the time because there's a lot of podcasts, a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of books all written about this same album, I'm sure, all over the place. And I was trying the ethos. I want to put my teeth back in. Hang on. The ethos of this show was originally to be more sort of undergroundy bands as well, a good mix, like last week's Castle. But I went to see Maiden in Sydney 5 days ago, and it made me think. They were playing some of the tracks there that I hadn't heard live before, and I interviewed the day before that. I interviewed Petru from Apocalyptica for Metal Ruse, and their new album is a Metallica tribute album, and on that album they do they got a couple of Cliff Burton tracks, and I thought, oh wow, what was my, what would I do? What album would I do if I was going to do it? And it would always be Ride the Lightning. When I was at Maiden, just watching the show, when you're sort of like, it came to me that was the right thing to do. I'd hummed and hawed about it, but I thought, no, this is what we're going to do. So, it is my favourite Metallica album of all of them. I know that having a favourite Metallica album is difficult, like having a favourite Maiden album is difficult, because there's so many cracking albums. For me, though, up until Injustice for All, after that, I don't tend to listen to them. And it's not because they're rubbish, or it just doesn't, their later stuff just doesn't sit with me, very much like some of the later Maiden stuff doesn't, And I know that might cause some blood to boil out there, and you die-hard Metallica fans, but I'm not having a go at them. It's just not much. I just don't enjoy it, right? But I do have, though, up until that, some of the best thrash metal, if not the best thrash metal ever made, up to that point. So, we are blessed to have. I'm blessed to have this particular album. This is their second album, which it came out in 1984 on the 27th of July, and it came out after Kill 'Em All. And listen to this, right? So this in July of 1984, I could not believe this, right? So you think, that you think that the world is full of music now, and sometimes, and not particularly in the metal industry genre probably, but in the pop, there's a lot of noise going around. But back in 1984, it really was a world where heavy metal and heavy rock ruled. Listen to this. So these are just but a few of the albums that were released in July of 1984. Iron Maiden's Power Slave, Defenders of the Faith by Priest, Last in Line, Dio, Hell to England, Man of War, Crusader by Saxon, At War with Satan, Venom, Wasp, Metal Churches, Metal Church, Motorhead, No Remorse. This is Spinal Tap. Van Halen's 1984. Deep Purple's Perfect Strangers. Armored Saint, March of the Saint. Bring the Witches, The Warlock. Projects in the Jungle, Pantera. Fistful of Metal, Anthrax. Rock Will Never Die, Michael Schenker Group. Condition Critical, Quiet Riot. Rising Force, Yngwie Malmsteen, or as I like to call him, Yngwie G. Malmsteen. All in July 1984. And that's, again, I literally culled that down from the list that I found. And so, do you think that that to make an album that would jump above that noise would be really difficult? I don't think that when Metallica was writing Ride the Lightning, to me ours, that they were thinking about jumping above the noise. I think they were just making music that they wanted to make. They were at that point in their career where Kill 'Em All had done well, they were doing well, they toured with Venom, they were doing okay. This, I think for me, this musically was a huge leap forward for them, because there was a more sense of musicality in this album. I mean, Cliff Burton, God rest his soul, the greatest metal bass player, I reckon, of all, really. I mean, Steve Harris is there, but Cliff just sort of, I don't know, he had this thing about him. For more extreme metal, I should say. I mean, Steve is more your traditional metal, but, Cliff had this thing about him, and a musicality to him, very much like Steve. And he brought that to the band. He brought music theory into the band from this album onwards. Before, it was just balls to the wall, and I love it, high speed, aggressive thrash, making their own kind of heavy metal. But then, Cliff has had a musicality to him, and it really does shine on this album. So it was originally released on Megaforce Records, and then they signed to Elektra Records, a bigger label. So they released it the same year on Elektra Records, and then they also released it on Music for Nations for Europe. So it's on a few different labels. It did very, very well. 5 million copies in the US alone, and it's 5 times certified platinum. That's a lot of records, right? That's a lot of records. Started working on the recording on the 13th of February 1984 until the 14th of March at Sweet Siren Studios in Copenhagen, Denmark. The length of the album is 47 minutes and 24 seconds, and it's 8 tracks. It's produced by Flemming Rasmussen. Now, he then did most of their albums, first early albums onwards, because it was his studio he owned, which was Sweet Silence Studio, sorry. He did Master of Puppets and Injustice for All there. And it feels like it's a homemade record, but it has this polish and this musicality that you don't get with underground music a lot of the time. It was the last album to credit Dave Mustaine, who'd been kicked out of the band before Kill 'Em All, and he's credited on one song, which is Call of Cthulhu, the end track, the instrumental piece at the end. This is the first one, Kirk Hammett's coming into the band from Exodus, and it's one of the only albums it's one of the only albums with 4 writers accredited. There's a few by Metallica. I think there's 2. This and Master of Puppets. Not many albums in the world are credited with 4 writers, and this is one of them. If you have, interestingly enough, out there, record collectors, I would love this. I've got Ride the Lightning on several prints. I've got a European print, I've got a Japanese print, I've got it on CD, cassette. But there was a French one released where it was misprinted with, instead of being blue background, it was green background. So if you know the artwork, and you'll see it in the picture on the podcast, if you don't know, it's floating electric chair in the sky with the lightning. It's very, very rare. 500 copies were released with that. 400 copies were released with that. So if you've got one, you make sure you hold on to it. Now, he toured it. He toured Ride the Lightning, was supported by 2 bands. The first part of the tour, the first tour, was called the Bang That Head That Doesn't Bang That Head tour. 25 dates from November the 16th of 84 to December the 20th. They were supported by Tank on that tour, interestingly enough. And I've talked about Tank before on this podcast, one of my favourite New Album bands, and Metallica being a very, very big fan of New Album, as you might know from their cover bands, the cover albums that they've done. I'm not going into the full history of Metallica because it's too much out there, yeah? Then they did the Ride the Lightning tour, which is 57 dates, from January 11th, 1984 to December 13th, 1985, with a very interesting co-headline. They were co-headline with Wasp, right, which was, pretty good, but they had an amazing set of support bands. Listen to this: Armand Angel, Tank, ZZ Top, Marillion. So those that don't think Marillion are heavy metal, well, they supported Metallica amazingly. Bon Jovi, Rat, Magnum, and Exodus. And that's a couple of them. And there was a couple of others that I didn't write down. Tony Vance wrote it down, but Tony Vance was a DJ. How interesting is that? Right? You would not have thought that it would be that we would have Marillion as a support act. I didn't even know that. And I'm a diehard Marillion fan. I'm thinking, was it Donington that they were? But I don't know if they supported them at Donington. I'll have to check into that. Some trivia here, right? It's one of the only albums that is tuned to A440 hertz throughout them being the other being Kill 'Em All. That means it's really high, so really high sharp sound. Okay, Kill 'Em All was slightly higher at A44 hertz or A445 hertz. But for whom the bell tolls, it was even higher to mimic the pitch of the bells at the start of the song. And we'll get about that when we go by track. But there's a little bit of trivia there, like a little higher, a little experimental. I think that's another thing that is lost within the digital world of music making. And I have said this before. I yearn, and you can tell. I mean, yeah, most of you or most of us will put music on, and it will be just a way of filling the void in the head or fill that space. But a lot of the time, for me, I actually do really. I fall into a hole of the song and the music structure and the production, particularly if I know it really well. And this, when it was analog produced, and they had to do things to make different sound effects and to do differently, and they had to use their Neve desk, which is the mixing desk, which they mix on, in imaginative ways. Like there's a story that on Dark Side of the Moon, to get the echo, they put on one of the tracks, they put a broom handle into the tape and pulled it across the room out of the machine. So it played through, and by the time it played through and they recorded it, recorded onto that piece of tape, poured it across the room, and then recorded from it again. And so by the time that bit of loop got round to the tape, it echoed because it was a few seconds behind. And I really think that kind of thing is what makes pre-digital age music so brilliant. And so warm and rich and enjoyable. I'm not saying that digital age music is not enjoyable, because I listen to all of it now. Don't we all listen to it now? But there is a sense of craftsmanship, a sense of experimentation. Now, you can still experiment with digital sounds. I know you can, but there was a coldness to it. Whereas I find Yeah. Anyway, but I think that's why I really love this particular album. It's also so musical. It's so forward. It's such like Iron Maiden's Killers or the Beatles' Sergeant Pepper. I've said to you before, a lot of bands have their own Sergeant Pepper moment. I think this is their Sergeant Pepper moment. People will tell me they think it's a Black Album is the case. I don't think so. This is more experimental for me, and it's a lot more daring, and it's a lot more interesting, and it goes from being brutal, balls to the wall, thrash, and kill 'em all, to it's a really interesting, thoughtful, artistic, and literary moments on this album, and some really beautiful musical points in it that just sort of will grab you and make your head turn. Like when I saw Maiden on last week, they played Death of the Celts. I didn't think they would. I almost broke my wife's hand. I was holding her hand, and they announced Death of the Celts, and I almost squeezed it so tight because I really love that song. If you listened to the show before and are a fan, you'll know that when I reviewed Senjutsu, I think that Death of the Celts is like on par with Roman the Ancient Mariner. I cried when I first heard it, and I think I had a tear last week when they played it. And so I like those kind of moments, and this is their moment. I think this is by far for me Cliff's finest moment. And again, people will, I'm sure, have their own opinions. This is only my opinion. I'd like to say that, please, people. Like, this is just my opinion. Take it with a pinch of salt. Agree with me or don't agree with me, it's up to you. There'll be diehard Metallica fans out there listening, and they'll go, "You've got it all wrong. You don't know that. This is that and that." And that's fine. My resources are my resources. I just went to a lot of Metallica fan pages, a lot of their Wikipedia. I went to their website. I went all over the place, lots of different interviews to find all sorts of stuff out. So, it's not always going to be 100% accurate, is it? But here we go. So, Ride the Lightning, Metallica's second album. Their best, in my opinion. I absolutely adore it. It's one I come back to all the time. It's one I play regularly. A complete different direction in, I think for me, than Kill 'Em All. But a direction that they went in, and I think it made them one of the biggest band in the world at one point, and still one of the biggest bands in the world. And something that they should be very proud of, and all of us should be proud of. It's a beautiful album. Anyway, that's enough for this side. I'm going to let you listen to some ads, or skip it if you want. Also, I do have a Patreon page now. I know that you don't get any extras for it. It's just so I can afford to keep the show going at this moment. I'm trying to make it less than $5. They wouldn't let me do less than $5. I'll leave the link in the show notes below, and please be my guest if you want to come along and donate monthly. That's up to you. You don't have to. Again, it's free for everyone. I don't really want to make people have to pay for it. I will be starting doing some Patreon separate stuff. I just don't know what I want to do yet. I'm still, even though I'm almost 200 episodes in, I can't really think of something. If someone's got some ideas, please do come to my Facebook page and leave some notes, or my YouTube channel. I get a lot of people getting feedback on YouTube. They do talk a lot on there, which is really good. And please do, when you get a chance, leave me a 5-star review. Just if you're in Spotify, just swipe up or swipe down, whichever it is, and then click the stars. You don't have to give a written review, but stars always help. Anyway, enough for me, a lot of chit chat, enough of me trying to prostitute myself for the almighty dollar. And I will talk to you on the other side about Ride the Lightning track for track. I'm not going to go much into the music because it's something that most of us will know, but a lot of trivia this time around, which I really liked. Anyway, talk to you soon. Enjoy the break, or skip if you like, and see you in less than a second or two. Bye for now.
To make switching to the new Boost Mobile risk-free, we're offering a 30-day money-back guarantee.
So why wouldn't you switch from Verizon or T-Mobile?
Because you have nothing to lose. Boost Mobile is offering a 30-day money-back guarantee.
No, I asked why wouldn't you switch from Verizon or T-Mobile?
Oh.
Wouldn't.
Because you love wasting money as a way to punish yourself because your mother never showed you enough love as a child?
Whoa, easy there.
Yeah.
Applies to online activations. Requires port in and auto pay. Customers activating in stores may be charged non-refundable activation fees.
This podcast is brought to you by eHarmony, the dating app to find someone you can be yourself with. Why doesn't eHarmony allow copy and paste in first messages? Because you are unique, and your conversations should reflect that. eHarmony wants you to find someone who will get you. How are you going to know who gets you? If people send you the same generic conversation starters they message everyone else. Conversations that actually help you get to know each other. Imagine that. Get who gets you on eHarmony. Sign up today.
Explaining football to the friend who's just there for the nachos? Hard. Tailgating from home like a pro with snacks and drinks everyone will love? An easy win. And with Instacart helping deliver the snack time MVPs to your door, you're ready for the game in as fast as 30 minutes. So you never miss a play or lose your seat on the couch or have to go head-to-head for the last chicken wing. Shop Game Day faves on Instacart and enjoy $0 delivery fees on your first 3 grocery orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Other fees and terms apply.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Welcome back, guys, to part 2 of Ride the Lightning, Metallica's second and, in my opinion, greatest album. Again, these things are they're subjective, so that's all I would say. But anyway, so we open with Fight Fire with Fire. Now, this is a brilliant way of opening the album. It's fast. It's aggressive. It runs straight on from Kill 'Em All, in my opinion. It's one of the fastest songs that they've ever recorded, according to the band. It's about the end of the world, nuclear, mutual assured destruction, basically. They broach the subject again in the next album with Blackened. It is, I think, one of their heaviest tracks. It's one of the most intensive tracks on to play because it's all 16th notes. So there's not a lot of breath to take in this song. And I really like the way that Dave, his vocals on this really, Dave Hetfield, he's always been, for me, has always been, not Dave Hetfield, God, Tony Evans, you absolutely bloody idiot. See, I keep saying Dave because I had Dave Mustaine in my head there, sitting the bloody thing. Anyway, Hetfield, James Hetfield. Come on, you idiot. His vocals are always been, his singing has always been one of his, in my opinion, his strong points, because his mother was a classically trained musician, and so he comes from a house of really gifted musicians, and the way he spits out the lyric here, fight fire with fire, fight fire with fire, is really good. Now, you've got to remember, this is 1984. Those that weren't born then, you youngsters, or were born just around then, won't know this. Probably do know if you talk to your parents, but we all lived in the fear of the nuclear bomb. I know that I did. There was the Cold War was still rife. The Russians, the Americans, They were all at each other, and it was quite scary, really quite scary. Thatcher and Reagan. I don't know if that's 84. I'm gonna guess it is. Anyway, it was a rough, tough time, and so most of us did fear that. And so opening with a song like that is quite apt for the band, because they decided many years ago, when they first started, they would not write songs about demons and devils. They wanted to be different to all the other bands that were out there at the time, because heavy metal at that time, particularly the new wave of British heavy metal and early thrash, it's a lot of Satanism with Slayer and Venom, and there's a lot of this sort of because punk had taken the political sting out of music. Like the sting, you couldn't be there's only so much political you could be, because punk had already done it. So there was only other way of really pushing the older generation's buttons was to attack their religious beliefs, and that's what they did. And when I say attack, I don't mean attack as in like, some of them are against it, but they just use that imagery to wind the oldies up, right, and get the kids involved. And it's quite easy to write songs about demons and devils, really. It's quite difficult, though, on the other hand, to write songs about mutually assured destruction. And now it was it hadn't been played. It was actually, sorry, as of 2022. So this, I could not get anything beyond this date for numbers. But as of 2022, it only be performed by the band 339 times since 1984. So it's not a lot amount of time. It probably because of its technicality and the speed of which it's played at. It's quite a short song, 4 minutes something. Brilliant way of opening an album. It takes your breath away. Really lovely, short lyric, nice and structured. Let me just 1 second here. Yeah, 1 second. Sorry about that. I dropped something on the floor there. It's quite a succinct lyric. They're not, apart from 1 or 2 tracks on this album, they don't overfill the lyric line with cumbersome wordplay. They let the music do the talking, and I think for a lot of us that's quite refreshing. I mean, I do, as you know, I love my prog, so I'm a word person, so I love lyrics. But the lyric on this one, fight fire with fire, fight fire with fire. It's nice. It bounces on the musical refrain of the music, and that's definitely coming from Cliff there. And then the solos in this, it's so intense. It's really what thrash for me is all about. This track, it really, really is. It's all what it's all about, and. I just think that modern thrash has lost that slight musicality to it. As with everything, it's trying to get faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, right? And that's brilliant on a lot of that aspect. But then I also want some musicality in there as well. So the lyric here, like, it opens up with, "Do unto others as they do unto you." And there is quite a biblical feel in this album, actually. But what in the hell is the world coming to? Man, lovely little wordplay. Then blow the universe into nothingness. Nuclear warfare shall lay us to rest. Fight fire with fire, ending is near. And then you've got like, time is like a fuse, short and burning fast. Armageddon's here, like said in the past. Just, soon to fill our lungs the hot winds of death. The gods are laughing, so take your last breath. I think, there's not a lot of lyric in there, but what it does say is a lot. It says, I'm a 20-something man living in a world where any moment it all could end, and they're not being, like Crass was with this, and some of the other sort of hardcore punk bands, which are very, very, very aggressive and anti-government. They're not pointing fingers at anyone. They're just telling the truth that, look what will happen if we don't pull our socks up. It's a really good song. Brilliant way to open the album. One of my favourites of theirs, actually, if not probably it's one of my favourites. It's up there in the top 5. Anyway, And then move on to the title track, Ride the Lightning. Now, this one's about capital punishment and all the flaws that come with this. Hetfield said it's not critical about capital punishment, but it was more written from the point of the death row prisoner. And I sort of, you could read two things into this album. You can read it both ways, really. And he's dealing, apparently the death row prisoner is dealing with his wretched life and his death to come, right? It contains Hetfield's highest sung note, even though it's a scream. And Kirk's tapping and signature solos start on this song. And this is a really good guitar-driven song. This is, I think, possibly my favourite song on the album. Yeah, no, it's the one that I love waiting coming on. I would have opened with it, but when you think about it, Fight Fire with Fire was a great opening. They stopped playing it in 1987, interestingly enough, but they brought it back in 2005, and as of 2022, it had been played 387 times. What a shame. Is it because Hetfield can't hit that note? I don't know. It's a song that, I've seen Metallica live a handful of times, and I've never seen them play Ride the Lightning, not to my memory. Grant you, the last time was at Soundwave, and they weren't very good, and we sort of left about just towards the end. It wasn't a great performance, and everyone late. Anyway, that aside, you can't always have a great day at the office, can you? It was included on the download for the Rock Band game in November the 20th, 2007, along with Blackened. And I remember that because we had it, and I couldn't play a single bloody note, but my then, I think, what was she, 2007, a 10-year-old daughter was tapping away like no tomorrow. Anyway, its lyric. Let's look at the lyric, shall we? Let me just grab it up, and we'll go through that. So again, it opens like, guilty as charged, but damn it, ain't it right? There's something else controlling me. And the way he says that, it's a really way he refrains that controlling me at the end. It's a lovely way he breathes through this song. Death in the air, strapped in the electric chair. This can't be happening to me. Who made you God to say I'll take your life from you? Lovely, brilliant juxtaposition there, because if that is a killer saying, who made you God taking your life from me, or who made you God take your life from the person you took it from, right? And then that really dramatic, fast-paced chorus, flash before my eyes, now it's time to die, burning in my brain, I can feel the flame. Oh, it's so... And then the way that the drum... Lars Ulrich on this this album is just... I think he's at his pinnacle here. The way he controls the backbeat through this song, is just fantastic. And the bridge is crazy town. Someone help me! Oh, please God, help me! They're trying to take me all away. I don't want to die. And it's like you can hear this, the deathly screams and the anguish and the guilt in the voice of James there, and the solo that follows it is just brilliant, really is, And then of course you come to the end. This time moving slow. The minutes seem like hours. The final curtain. It's all I see. How true is this? Just get it over with. If this is true, just let it be. Wakened by a horrid scream, free from this frightening dream. Educated, intelligent, clever. Because again, another nuance of the American way of life is that many states still have the death penalty. And so, it's very much on people's minds, capital punishment. And I'm sure back in the 80s, there was a lot going on, and there still is a lot going on in that lovely country of yours, America. I don't know what's happening sometimes. You give the world such wonderful, wonderful things, and then sadly, you also give us the other side of life. But that's everywhere, I suppose. So, Ride the Lightning. I think, for me, musically, my favourite musical piece outside of Call of Cthulhu on the album. Lyrically, again, not a lot in there. You know, they're not spending hours writing, you know, many stanza after stanza and chorus after bar after, you know, they're not doing that. They're really succinct. All the writers on this, all of them that wrote on this album, succinct, powerful, and that's what thrash is about. It's about almost like some spitting out the lyric. If you listen to Slayer albums, a lot of Slayer stuff is not overly lyrical, but it tells a story when it needs to, punctuated by, you know, some of the best metal ever recorded. And this is one of those albums. I mean, I'd love to hear an instrumental version of this album, to be honest with you. Next, we move on to For Whom the Bell Tolls. This one is a really cinematic piece. I think it's clear. Cliff here is coming through dramatically. This is, for me, this is their Number of the Beast. This is their Number of the Beast moment. Not Number of the Beast, I mean, sorry. This is their Trooper moment. Okay? There's a lot of connections between this and Trooper, and that might not be music. Musically, it's not the same. Conceptually, it's very similar. So this is written. This is a song based on the Ernest Hemingway novel, and one section from that novel. Cliff playing on the bass here through the intro is distortion, is amazing. He uses distorted guitar with a wah-wah. He wrote the intro before joining Metallica. So in his previous band, and he's used it on this album, and he uses it with such amazing emphasis. And then the bells, like I said before, they're tuned up higher. They're sped up, which makes it higher. And it was an anvil that was lying around in the studio. I mean, it's Copenhagen, Denmark. I'm not surprised there's an anvil there. And Lars was striking the anvil to get the bell sound. It's from the passage. It's from the book. It's taken from the section where the International Brigade of Soldiers of the Spanish Civil War attempt to escape the fascists who have stolen their horses and are killed by the enemy aircraft on a hill which they are surrounded by. And there is apparently, in 2 minutes and 50, there is a hidden fuck, apparently, or F-bomb, if you like to use it that way. I couldn't hear it. I've listened to it so many times. I've even looked at the clock and can't seem to hear it. But good luck if you can find it. If you do know it's there, let me know. I would like to try and see if I can listen to it and actually find it again. The studio version of the album was 5 minutes and 10 long. What they did was they tuned it higher, and so it sharpened the sound. They sped it up. The band sort of have said yes, they did do this, and others they've said no, they didn't. It's one of those sort of, you know, not sure if it's true or not. It gives a sort of a. It sounds like when you do that, you get a sound through a cheaper amp, cheaper equipment, because it sort of thins and sharpens the sound. And they say it did it deliberately, and then they said they don't. I think personally, I love that. Again, that sort of analog craziness that you could do and every song mixed and managed differently. You know, they've taken each song and looked at it on its own right, singularity, and gone, you know, what can we do different on this song that we didn't do on the last one? And for me, that's absolutely wonderful. You know, I just absolutely love that. As I said, the bells were done with an anvil. It was also covered, and I didn't know this, by Chicago. Sampled it on one of their songs. That blew my mind, actually, to be honest with you. It has been played live 1,530 times. One of only 9 songs to be played over 1,000 times from their catalogue. Cliff would often play the extended bass intro, and improvise while he was doing it. And after he died, they kept it in and both Trujillo and Newsted would play it. And I think that as a tribute to him, and I think that is a beautiful thing, because again, it's a bass intro that, like Steve Harris, it's chorded. He's musical. You know, he's not just one octave below E, 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 E. You know, he's not just behind the beat or on the beat, or, you know, he's creative. He's one of those beautiful creative bass players. And when people say to me bass playing is easy, I get really, really angry. You know, my friend Jeff and I went to see a XTC cover band on the weekend, Exacto. They're a brilliant band. If you're in Canberra or in Sydney when they tour and you play, go and see them. They're next playing in December, I believe. Absolutely brilliant. I had a sore throat and a hangover, which is, you know, not easy the next day. And truly, where was I going with that? I have lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, Jeff. And Jeff was saying, look, we were watching the bass player for the XTC. He goes, oh man, it's so difficult. I can't play bass. I tried it. And he's a gifted guitarist and a composer. So when people say bass is easy, they can make it easy, or they can do Cliff or Steve or Chris, or all the different people that I've named in the past. So lyric-wise, let's find it. As I said, this song is really cinematic. It's a real, almost proggy, you know. And then I know there's a lot of you out there going to squint when I say that, but it really is. And I don't mean proggy as in flowery 70s prog that we all love. I'm talking about it's different to all the thrash that was being played around then. And that, to me, is progressive. Make this fight on the hill in the early days. And the way you say, and again, the drums are coming in. It's this military beat, right? And the way that James sings this lyric, I can't do it justice. You have to listen to it. But it goes, make this fight on the hill in the early day, constant sheep deep inside, dum, dum, dum. It's just, God, shooting gun on the run through the endless grey. Oh, they fight for the night. Yes, who they say? It's another one of those timeless classics off this album that make this Metallica's greatest album. And then the chorus, again, really simple 3-line chorus. For whom the bell tolls, time marches on. For whom the bell tolls. You know, it's just brilliant. Like lines like "gone insane from the pain that they surely know." You know, I take a look to the sky just before you die. It's the last time you will. Dum dum dum. Black and raw, massive roar. Fills the crumbling sky. Shattered goals fills the soul with a ruthless cry. I really love it when bands bring classic literature into music. It's one of my joys, genuinely, listeners. It's one of the reasons why I love Rime of the Ancient Mariner, you know, For Whom the Bell Tolls, The Trooper. There's lots of them, and it's just because some writing, particularly the older, more sort of classical writing, really had poetry, led itself to music. It's a musical form, the way the words move in the bar and the way the words move around the music and in the music and tell a story. And it's this song, this is the kind of song that gives me chills. It gives me shivers listening to it. It always has done, always will do. It still does. And it's a brilliant piece of music. And to be honest, for boys of their age, in the early 20s, unbelievable. When you think about it, or even, I don't even know how old there was then, that we're not that old. Same with when, you know, a 19-year-old John Lydon writes EMI or Bodies or something like that. It's just like, blows your mind. Brilliant. And then we move swiftly on to Fade to Black. Fade to Black is a very dark, it's very dark, okay? So warning here, it is conceptually about suicide. It is also the band's first ballad to be released It's been played 1,211 times. James has said that it's about the feeling he felt when the band had all of their equipment stolen. The loss he felt. He felt like he couldn't go on. And I think that's shows you how much it meant to them. You know, they weren't millionaires at this point, and equipment was expensive, and they would have had stuff that they would love to play. Now, the intro, because it's played on an acoustic and an electric guitar, James has played this. He played this mainly on his Explorer, his Flying V double neck, and a double neck acoustic guitar. It was in January of '94 the band had the equipment was stolen. It was the very last track that Newsted played with the band before he left live. Again, it's a shorter song. It is dark in its musical feel. It's quite a deep piece of music. It's got a fantastic bass part. The solo is great. You can feel in the vocal with James that he's feeling lost, right? But what a good lyricist does is he tells a story from the point of someone else, but uses his emotions through that person. And I think that's a brilliant thing. What he's doing on the entire album, to be honest with you. I loved this one live. I've seen this live a few times, and it's just, here's the lyric, right? Life, it seems, will fade away. And it's the way he says it, because it's a ballad. Now, you don't think of, again, how progressive is this? It's a ballad on here. It's a lower tempo piece of music, and James's vocal on here is really yearning. Life, it seems, will fade away, drifting further every day, getting lost within myself. Nothing matters, no one else. I've lost the will to live, simply nothing more to give. There is nothing more for me, need the end to set me free. Now, of course, that's about suicide. And again, those are suffering with those thoughts, dear listeners, there are lots of people to reach out to. I've mentioned this before. You're never alone. And it's quite a short lyric, okay? Again, no one but me can save myself, but it's too late. Now I can't think why I shouldn't even try, you know? Yesterday seems as though it never existed. Death greets me warm. Now I'll just say goodbye. Bye. I'm not going to see, you know, the lyric is just, it's brilliant, okay? I've read that out of context, by the way, but it's still short, sharp. As ballads go, and I'm not a lover of ballads, I will be honest with you, it's one of the reasons that latter Def Leppard and latter Ozzy I don't really dig. But there's a point for it on this album, and it really, really works. And then we follow on to Trapped Under Ice. Now, before I researched this album, listeners, I thought Trapped Under Ice, in my head, when I listened to it, even though I knew the lyric, I thought it was someone, have you seen those horror movies where they're swimming in the water and suddenly it freezes over and they can't get out? Or they're falling through the ice. It's one of those things that really sort of scares me a bit. I tell you, it's one of those phobias that I have. I'm sure a lot of people do. But it's not. It's actually about someone who's been cryogenically frozen, but is awake while they're frozen. What a horrible, horrible thought. And it's only been played 28 times. Minuscule. When you consider all the other songs in there. I know they've got a lot of catalogue. I know they do. But this one live, this one is I've never seen it live. But I've played it. For a long time, it was my favourite track on the album. As I said, they do tend to chop and change. But it was my favourite for a long time. The lyric is like, I don't know how to live through this hell. Woken up, I'm still locked in this shell. Frozen soul, frozen down to the core. Break the ice, I can't take it anymore. Freezing, can't move at all. Screaming, can't hear a call. I'm dying to live, cry out. I'm Trapped Under Ice. And that, again, it's spat by James. There's a real attack of the guitar. The way he enunciates his lyric along with the guitar line is really something to be behold. It's so sharp and cold. He brings a coldness to it. The band brings a coldness music to it. Crystallize as I lay here and rest. Eyes of glass stare directly at death. From deep sleep I have broken away. No one knows, no one hears what I say. Oh! And then, of course, the brilliant chorus. Freezing, can't move at all. Screaming, can't hear a call. I'm dying to live. Cry out. I'm trapped under ice. It's just, no release from my chronic state. What is this? I've been stricken by my fate. Wrapped up tight, cannot move, cannot break free. Hand of doom has a tight grip on me. Clever, sharp, cold, a scary piece of music. I think it's terrifying and epic. The riffage is cold and brutal at its pace. The solo it's, to me, it's probably, as I've written here in big red letters, possibly originally one of my favourite tracks on the album. And it's one I think of. It's also one of the ones, not very much like the next song, no, the one after next, that I generally sing along to a lot. But, what a brilliant way to... There's not a duff song on this album so far, really. All thriller, no filler, right? 11 on the Millsy meter, all the way. So I'm blowing the bloody... the mercury out of the top of it. Now we get to Escape. This is an unsung hero on this album for me, because the band hate it. They absolutely hate it. James said that playing it live was like a living nightmare. They don't play it live. They never wanted to play it live when they recorded it. They've got a strong dislike for it. I don't know why. A lot of diehard fans don't like it as well. It's very typical. It's not atypical thrash. It's what. This is the thing that sort of irks me, listeners. Why not have something that's not atypically thrash? I wouldn't say that Fade to Black was atypically thrash, but no one's having a go at it. Musically, yes. It's different. It's structured different. It has much more of a... it's a 4-note diminished chord, and at the end, and the hammer is playing over the top of that, and 4-bar break, and, it's a bit more music. It's got more of a traditional heavy metal feel to it. And they were brought up on traditional heavy metal, all right? They're big fans of Venom, of course, punk as well, but they were brought up on Maiden and Priest and Saxon and, a lot of that new wave stuff. And to me, it sounds like their new wave track. There's a lot of space in the track for Kirk to play. I just don't... Yeah. It, to me, feels that it should have been played more, and that the band should be proud of it. But hey, you know what? It's them. They created it. It's up to them how they feel, really. And hardcore fans, it's up to them as well. They love the band. That's what it's about. Okay, so I'll give you the lyric. This one's actually quite wordy, to be honest with you. It's probably also why they don't like it. Feel no pain, but my life ain't easy. I know I'm my best friend. No one cares, but I'm no strain. No, I'm so much stronger. I'll fight until the end to escape from the true false world, undamaged destiny. Can't get caught in the endless circle, ring of stupidity. I think it's about, to be honest, I couldn't find out what this was actually about. There was a little about that, but I would say that it's about just escaping from the mundanity of life, getting to a band, playing music, being yourself. I mean, there are lyrics like, rape my mind and destroy my feelings, don't tell me what to do. Don't care now, because I'm on my side. All I can do is see through. Feed my brain with your so-called standards. Who says that I ain't right? Break away from your common fashion. See through your blurry sight. Yeah, it's just a teenager. It's just a angst-ridden song about getting away from the norms, being yourself. And the lyric, it fades out to a lyric that life is for my own to live my own way, and it repeats quite a bit under the 4-bar stanza that Kirk Hammett's doing. And honestly, I like it. I don't skip it. And I think it's part of them. Yeah, it's not their traditional Die Hard stuff, but I really like it. But then we move right on to Creeping Death. Oh, I do love this song. It's actually a reworking of the Exodus song, Die by His Hand. This being the only single off the album. It was the only single released off the album. Very daring. I would have probably released something else, maybe like Fade to Black, but maybe it was a bit too dark a lyric. I don't know. It's about the second half. This is really interesting, guys. It's about the second half of the movie The Ten Commandments, the biblical movie by Cecil B. DeMille. The big colour. They used to watch that every bloody Christmas. Was on every Christmas, and my dad would say, "We're going to watch The Ten Commandments." I'm like, "Oh God, do we have to?" It's actually about the spreading of the plagues, the death of the firstborn in Exodus 13:29 in the Bible. It was written from the point of view of the death of of the angel of death. It's a really big song, it's a massive song. It's played. It's so oh God, it's sing along and so dramatic. It's the story of the Haggadah, the Passover Exodus. I am of Jewish faith, but I don't practice. And saying that word, I probably said it to all. So all you lovely Hebraics out there, I do apologise if I've said it. It's been played 1,528 times, and you can see why, right? James used a mid-70s Gibson Flying V on the solos and a Boss SD1 Super Overdrive pedal through his 1958 Marshall, which was Super Lead, which had been modified by amp guru Jose Anarundono. Oh, wow. I mean, you can hear that. And again, you can hear that. This is what I mean. Using all these digital add-ons, yes, you can make it sound that way, but you can hear the dirtiness, the filthy blues, aggressive distortion of that V playing through that Marshall and that pedal. You can hear it. You really, really can hear it. The first part of the bass part that comes in by Cliff was improvised. It was suggested it was double tracked. I say it probably has been. Kirk Hammett would play double track it. He played again a very interesting four bars at the end with lots of space. He's very good at that, right? Now, lyrically, it is about all the different types of the plagues of the Exodus, but mainly around the firstborn death of the Pharaoh. And of course, it was the Pharaoh wanted the firstborn Jew to be murdered, and this is the revenge. All right, it's very sing along. Okay. You're going to say, well, really, with that kind of concept, it really is. For me, again, I keep singing it. Slaves, Hebrews born to serve, to the Pharaoh, heed his every word, live in fear. Faith of the unknown one, the deliverer. Wait, something must be done, 400 years. So let it be written, so let it be done. I'm sent here by the chosen. It's a way he sings the lyric in this. This is the bit I keep singing to myself. So let it be written, so let it be done, to kill the firstborn Pharaoh's son. I'm creeping death. And for years, I thought he was saying uncreeping death. I thought that's a really good. Oh, that's a good mondegreen. That it works. Uncreeping death. I don't know what it would mean, but I'm creeping death also works well. Now let my people go, land of Goshen. Go, I will be with thee. Bush of fire, blood running red and strong down the Nile. Plague, darkness, 3 days long, hail to fire. Die by my hand, I creep across this land, killing the firstborn man, die by my hand. Ah, I rule the midnight air, the destroyer, born I shall be, soon be there, deadly mass, I creep the steps and floor, final darkness, blood lambs, blood-painted door, I shall pass. It's just... It is such a sing-along, but so dark, and I love, again, that they've used a Christian... I don't know if they were raised Christians. I think that James comes from quite a Christian family, and I can't speak for Lars or for Cliff or Kirk, but yeah, just I'm creeping death. It's just, and the way it's structured, it I know it wasn't originally their song, so it was originally next to the song brought to the band by Kirk, right? So obviously Kirk must have written part of that song to be able to bring it to the band. But the fact that it's based on the film Ten Commandments, the second part, you know, and the Bible, and it's from the point of the angel of death, and it's so complex, and it, you know, just love it. What an album, you know. And then we move from that brilliant song to the very end, the instrumental piece that every band used to have, did they not? And you look forward to it. I love instrumental music. No, not a lot of people do, but I do. And this is Call of Cthulhu. Now, they spell it Ktulu, but the book is spelled Cthulu. Sorry, Cthulhu. I think that there's a couple of reasons. Firstly, it's easier for people to say Cthulhu than Cthulhu. Also, it's when it's read in the book. If you read it in the book, it's read Cthulhu. So it's probably why it's spelled a different way. It's nothing to do with copyright. I really doubt that, because otherwise, for whom the bell tolls, would be problematic, wouldn't it? It was originally called Hell Freezes Over, and it was played. It's based on the Lovecraft novel, The Shadow of the story of the Shadow over Innsmouth. Sorry, I love that book. I love that story. I really, really, really enjoy Lovecraft stories. I like his demonic mix of monsters and alien, universal, cross-dimensional creatures. They originally decided this song as well because they didn't want to do a demon creature, and the Call of Cthulhu creature is not a demon. Also, one of the reasons why it's spelt differently, I think, is that in the book, if you say the name how it's spelt correctly, or write the name how it's spelt correctly, you will conjure him, or it, or they. So I've got to be careful and look over my shoulder next time I walk out the door. It was, Cliff introduced the band to this book, and it inspired them a lot, and inspired stuff that went further on to Master of Puppets, that kind of concept. He's a powerful godlike creature, Cthulhu, if you didn't know, an alien cross-dimensional. He's worshipped by the cult on Earth of Cthulhu. He's not demonic. He's been played only 84 times. That is a sin. Probably after Cliff died, they probably didn't want to do it, because every time Cliff played it, it was slightly different. And it was Cliff's baby, and he loved it a lot. It's obviously there's no lyric to speak of because it's instrumental, but it has that real middle section of Rime of the Ancient Mariner feel. You know, it's dramatic, it's moving, it's dark, it's fast, it's got, you know, great pieces of instrumental musicianship on it. The drums, you know, I haven't spoken much about the drums on here because it goes without saying that early Lars is one of the best drummers of them all at that time, I should say. I have thought once that maybe I should read The Shadow over Innsmouth again. There's INNSMOUTH, Shadow over Innsmouth. It's only a short story. It's not a long story. And I didn't listen to the music and see if I get that from it. As I said, it was originally called Hell Frozen Over. So it was probably not written originally with the idea of it being based on that novel, that short story. There was originally a newspaper, because he used to originally release his stories through newspapers and comics and stuff like that. But I think it still links to the story, I think, and it has a real dramatic, proggy, operatic density to it. It's very brave to have an 8-minute track at the end that is purely instrumental. The next track that sort of does that for me is on Injustice for All, which is 1. So they did have they really had a golden era here with this sort of stuff, and I know that there will be diehard fans out there that will be saying to you, no, other albums have all that stuff on it, and they probably are, but this is, as I said before, subjective, my choice. So we've come to the end. What a brilliant way to end the album. Cinematic, dramatic, proggy, heavy, dark, fast, moody. It sums the whole album up, really. If you're looking for a way to dive into thrash music and you want to try something from the original sort of people that played it, the people that started the genres, you cannot go far past Ride the Lightning. But do listen to Kill 'Em All first, because Kill 'Em All will give you an idea of the real fiery furnace of birth of thrash, and Ride the Lightning is, as I said, it's the power slave of Metallica. It's the Sgt. Pepper of Metallica. It's really, for a second album, just breathtakingly good. So go and enjoy it, and tell me what you think. As I said, come and give me some reviews on YouTube or on Facebook, or or on Spotify, or whatever platform you're using. Do try and like and subscribe, because it does help other listeners find me. Bye for now. I'm really glad I did the album. I'm going to go and listen to it now on 10, I think. Bye for now.
To get people excited about Boost Mobile's new nationwide 5G network, we're offering unlimited talk, text, and data for $25 a month.
Forever.
Even if you have a baby.
Even if your baby has a baby.
Even if you grow old and wrinkly and you start repeating yourself.
Even if you start repeating yourself.
Even if you're on your deathbed and you need to make one last call.
Or text.
Right, or text. The long-lost son you abandoned at birth.
You'll still get unlimited talk, text, and data for just $25 a month with Boost Mobile.
Forever!
After 30 gigabytes, customers may experience slower speeds. Customers will pay $25 a month as long as they remain active on the Boost Unlimited plan.
Forever!
Fall is here, and if you want to sleep in the coziest bed imaginable, you have to start with Boll & Branch's best-selling 100% organic cotton sheets. You'll spend every night wrapped in buttery, breathable softness, and feel your sheets getting even softer with every wash. Discover the difference with Boll & Branch's 30-night guarantee. Plus, get 15% off and free shipping on your first set of sheets. Visit bollandbranch.com and use code BUTTERY. Exclusions apply. See site for details.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit Progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations.